Hi everyone. As you probably already know, this is the last year that Olive is hosting Nonfiction November. I thought I'd pull some possibilities from my TBR lists and books I've already read to give some ideas to anyone who'd like to participate but hasn't chosen their books yet. I might not read 4 books. It depends on how busy I am. I'm going to mainly focus on books for the first 2 prompts, and anything else is bonus reading. I might like to read a novel as well. We'll see. So let's get to the prompts. The first prompt word is code. For this prompt, I was thinking of fashion, military, math, and legal codes. I have 4 TBR books and 2 previously read books for code. So the first book is Dress Codes: How the Laws of Fashion Made History by Richard Thompson Ford. I started this one as a possibility during the art readathon and didn't finish it then. Maybe I'll finish it now. It deals with how social classes, professions, religious minorities, and other groups have been distinguished through dress codes in European and North American history. The next one is Code Talker, the first and only memoir by one of the original Navajo code talkers of World War II by Chester Nez. I don't know too much about this one. The description says that Chester Nez was forced to attend an Indian boarding school and then he served as a Marine. It's on my World War II project list. Overnight Code: The Life of Raye, the Woman Who Revolutionized Naval Engineering by Paige Bowers. I don't know a lot about this one either. It's on my Korea and Vietnam list. The description says it's about a Black woman from Little Rock who became the first naval engineer to design a ship by computer. Katherine Johnson: My Remarkable Journey by Katherine Johnson. I saw read by Fred talking about a different version of Katherine Johnson's memoir called Reaching for the Moon. I'm not sure what the difference is, but this is the version that my library has. If you don't know, Katherine Johnson was a mathematician who worked for what became NASA, tracking calculations for space missions. On Account of Sex: Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the Making of Gender Equality Law by Philippa Strum. The description says that this book is an account of the impact Ginsburg had as a lawyer in the 1970s. I might substitute that one in for a different biography of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. There are other ones. Check around if you want just a more broad book about her whole life instead of just like her life in the 1970s. The books I've already read for code are Revolutionary Backlash by Rosemarie Zagarri, and this one details how American men led women to expect greater equality after the Revolution. And after women made so many sacrifices to help men win the war, men closed ranks to make sure that women had fewer rights than they had before. It was a groundbreaking book when it was published, and it still feels timely. The Field of Blood by Joanne Freeman. If you ever wondered where Lin-Manuel Miranda got the dueling code described in the musical Hamilton, this is the source. Joanne, a Hamilton scholar, invited Lin to her birthday party at the Hamilton House when she found out that he was writing a musical, and gave him a packet of information, and apparently he read her book. The second prompt is path. I was pretty literal with this prompt. During the Jim Crow era, Black travelers needed travel guidebooks to tell them which businesses would serve them along the way. So I have 2 books about Black travel, one about modern goods traveling along shipping paths, and one about the slave trade. So the first one is Overground Railroad: The Green Book and the Roots of Black Travel in America by Candacy Taylor. I started it this morning, and it's fascinating and well written so far. The Green Book was the most well-known travel guide for Black people in the Jim Crow era. So Taylor not only documents the history of the Green Book, but she also visited and photographed the sites where the Green Book businesses once stood, or in a few cases still operate. Driving the Green Book, a road trip through the living history of Black resistance by Alvin Hall. This is a travel memoir. Hall traveled a route along the East Coast from north to south, visiting places listed in the Green Book and interviewing older Black residents who remembered using the Green Book for survival. 90% of everything. Inside, shipping in the invisible industry that puts clothes on your back, gas in your car, and food on your plate by Rose George. This is a call for attention to overlooked problems on the high seas that most of us have no direct experience with, like multiple forms of pollution, pirates, etc. And then I've already read Born in Blackness, Africa, Africans, and the Making of the Modern World, 1471 to the Second World War by Howard W. French. It's about how racism developed, how the triangle of goods and shipping paths formed to create the slave trade. The next prompt is shot. For this one, I was thinking of fashion and movie shots. And I have 3 TBR books and 1 already read suggestion for this prompt. So I have Focus, The Secret, Sexy, and Sometimes Sordid World of Fashion Photographers by Michael Gross. It sounds like this is a history of fashion photography through short biographies of assorted photographers from the 1940s onward. Cheetah, a memoir by Chita Rivera. She's had several major roles, but I know her as Anita in West Side Story. She's won some major awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Hattie McDaniel, Black Ambition, White Hollywood by Jill Watts. McDaniel acted at a time when few Black actors were allowed on screen. The few Black actors who were allowed on screen were forced to play servants. Playing servants in movies paid better than actually being servants, but it still constituted discrimination. McDaniel was conflicted about her role. She was part of the little representation that Black women had in film, yet that representation was largely negative. This book looks at how she navigated that tricky dilemma. And then I've already read Peaceful Neighbor, Discovering the Countercultural Mr. Rogers by Michael Long. This is a political history of Mr. Rogers. It gives the background of what was going on in society during the filming of specific episodes and analyzes what he was trying to accomplish with those episodes. The last prompt is join. Here I was thinking about joining it around a table, or joining a movement, or joining a team, or just joining in some sort of group activity. I have 5 books for this prompt. Dinner with the President, Food, Politics, and a History of Breaking Bread at the White House by Alex Prudhomme. Check the description box for how to spell that one, because it has an apostrophe in it. This is about the political history of White House food. I will warn you that this is over 800 pages long, so if you're looking for a shorter read to accommodate other books and possibly Thanksgiving, this might not be the one. As Long as Grass Grows, The Indigenous Fight for Environmental Justice by Dina Giulio Whitaker. I hope I'm saying that right. This book seems to assume that you're already fairly knowledgeable about and committed to the environmental movement, but that you may not know how indigenous peoples fit into it. This makes me think that I might need to go back and get a more broad history of the environmental movement as a whole before reading this, because I don't have that background knowledge. The Gay Revolution, The Story of the Struggle by Lillian Faderman. My understanding is that this is a fairly comprehensive overview, but that also makes it an 800-page book, so keep that in mind. Dottie Wiltz Collins, Strikeout Queen of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League by Carolyn M. Trombe. If you've seen the movie A League of Our Own, you probably heard of Dottie, the main character. This is a short biography, about 200 pages long. And then the previously read book for Join is Dancing in the Streets, A History of Collective Joy by Barbara Ehrenreich. This one talks about various festivals, sports, and other ways that people in the Western world have joined together to express joy and communal values with or without the approval of societal elites. And that is all I have for you today. So thanks for watching and happy Halloween!